bit. There we go. What's going on, guys? Doing a little live stream shop update. But I like to get right to the meat of what the video title is, as you know. So we got a lot of updates going on, and I want to get to it eventually. But you know, we've got Michael in the shop now from Patriot Made. You want to say what's up, Mike?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. She's for sure watching this, right?
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of fun projects going on, new updates. So yeah, I want to get to all that. But first of all, I just want to hit the main topic, which is the Tandy heat imprinter, foil stamper, whatever you want to call it. I was like about to start this, and I was like, Michael, what should I do it on? I don't know what to do it on. He's like, do it on the foil stamping. So here we are. Nick says, howdy, Parker. What's up? Dakota, Michael M, Cyclone, that's Jose. Just looking, hi from the UK. Steve Scott, hi from Canada. What's going on? Thanks for jumping in, guys. Got 24 of you in here right now. So this is the Tandy heat imprinter. This is the one that I got when I was working with them, and I like it. It does the job. If I was going to go buy a new one, I'd probably get a different one, like the Kingsley's or Quick Prints, but they're all good. They all do the same thing. It's all just a simple function of like heating up this heating element right here, making sure the die gets hot and stamping it into the leather. That's about the most function you need out of one of these things. But I think the Kingsley's and the Quick Prints have a little bit of a bigger work base. I like the way that it attaches the die a lot more, because then you can use any of the dies. It's more of just a clamp that squeezes in on the die, where this has a really specific jig that you have to work with. Let me see if I can get focus on this. Probably not. Okay, there we go. This is the jig that it comes with, and because of that, you have to get a die that slides into that piece. And so it's not the end of the world, because luckily you have places like leatherstampmaker.com who will build your die. He actually will sell you a die like this. I would show it to you, but it's actually in the heat imprinter right now, and it's blazing hot. So it's basically like this, but instead of this little fancy like puzzle jig here, instead it just has a screw that the die screws into. So as long as your die has the tapped threads on the backside, then you can use that jig he has, and as long as you're ordering everything from him, then it should all work. So I would recommend him. This isn't sponsored or anything, but he's been really helpful to work with. So leatherstampmaker.com, and makes the Tandy heat imprinter a lot more usable. Just another sidebar, when I first got this, I reached out to Tandy and was like, okay, how do I get a die? And they're like, well, you order it through us. And so I ordered it. Took about 6 months for the die to get here, and it was about $300 for this little die. So I don't blame them. They're not set up for this kind of stuff. They don't have like the proper, fulfillment operations for that kind of work. They just had to make something available. So bottom line, if you have the Tandy heat imprinter, work with leatherstampmaker.com and get some dies. But let me get right to the meat of this. We've got a bunch of these little keychains key fobs, I don't know what you call them, but this is what we cut all of our scraps with. Anytime we have like a pile of scraps sitting by the clicker press, I just punch a bunch of these out. Eventually I want to get, I'm gonna need Michael's help with this, but Whit will probably help a lot. Thomas, we're gonna need all hands on deck, but at some point I just want to knock out a whole bunch of these keychains, and they'll just be something that we throw in orders or just kind of hand out, just kind of a little, hey, what's up? Here's a little piece of our work. But it's a good use of our scraps. So I've cut a bunch of these out. This is natural tooling right here. This camera supposedly has a feature that maybe I turned it off instead. Background defocus. I don't know. I'll figure it out sometime. But yeah, this is just a little keychain. I've made a bunch of them for the other business I'm a part of. Oh, don't look too closely at this one. This is a mess up. That's why it's sitting here. But the rivet was broken. So anyway, this is what we're dealing with here. I've got just a little round die that goes into that. And that's what I'm going to use to kind of demonstrate how this works. But with heat imprinters, it's all about getting the right temperature. And so, as with everything, it really pays off to do a lot of testing. And so anytime I'm about to stamp a new type of leather that I haven't done before, I usually take scraps and I just test it till I'm blue in the face and make sure I can get good results. So in this case, we have some natural tooling, which is fairly dry. There's no wax or oil in it. And so it takes a little bit of a higher heat. I usually set it right around 300 degrees Celsius. Right now it's at 280. We'll just leave it there. And I've got some notes up here that help me remember this, or just anyone who's in the shop. But anything that's on the drier side, like natural tooling or even skirting, which is what this is, I like to put it up to around 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Is it so? Oh no, Celsius. Sorry. And if it's something that has some like wax or oil in it, I use a little bit lower temperature. This is Buck Brown harness from Wicked and Craig. It's got the jack glaze. It's, you know, it's really sensitive to heat, so you can't put it under 300 degrees or it'll just sizzle and burn. So I usually drop it down to about I don't know, I don't have a note on this one, but I think it's around 150 to 190. So I didn't feel like you needed an up close on my chin. Let me read a few more of these comments here. Fernando, hey, Con, Mike Curtis, how's it going? Adrian Gonzalez, Jose, I use a manual heat stamp, still trying to figure it out the gold foil. Yeah, I'm going to try and get to that at some point of this, but it's difficult for sure. There's no doubt about it, so don't feel bad about that. What's your favorite leather polish? Polish. I don't know that I use a polish much, but I do use some Carnauba cream whenever we're using harness leather. So any wallet that goes out the door, she's in there shipping, she takes a rag and some Carnauba cream and just buffs all the scratches and marks out and then drops it in the mail. So that's kind of my extensive use of polish. Carnauba cream is similar to the Carnauba wax that you polish a car with, so it's kind of the same effect. As long as it's shiny, like glossier leather, that Carnauba cream will do wonders. Adrian, hey from Texas. Oh, I already saw that one. Victor Eduardo, hi from Mexico. Steve Scott, bro, get a vinyl cutter and a heat press and you can do custom designs. Yeah, that would be cool. Hi, S&B from Brazil. Cool, welcome. Thanks for jumping in. Walter Leon. Hey, thanks for the info. Thank you, Walter. Appreciate you jumping on. So, I've got a round die in here. It's actually this Buscadero one. So I'm going to stamp a few of these keychains. I don't know what you call them. Just to see how they go. But just as another little tip, this is something that I usually do for all of our pieces. I have some just scrap pieces of leather here that I use as templates for this base. So I cut a square piece of leather out that's the exact same size as this platform right here. And then I put the leather in there and I do a stamp. Wherever that stamp lands, I go take it over to the clicker press, center it over the stamp, and then I click out the piece that I'm trying to stamp. So obviously you can only do this with something you have a clicker die for, but yeah, you can get pretty handy with templates, especially if it's something you have to do over and over again. It's really useful because you don't want to be sitting there trying to eyeball it every time, and you're definitely not going to get it accurate every time either just by eyeballing it. Even with these guides and templates, it's still pretty hard to get right on. But so I've got one of these for all the little pieces that we do. This is probably the one that's most used. This is our 52 vertical pocket piece. I just slip that in there and puts the die right where you need it every time. So I just made this one. This is for the keychain. I've got some guides on there you can see, because one thing you don't think about is once you stamp the die on there and then you take it over the clicker press, you cover the stamp with the die. So you can't actually see if it's centered or lined up. And so what I did was I just took some lines and kind of bordered the top, bottom, and the sides of the die. And it helped me center up that die a lot better. So anyway, I don't know if that helps you. If you're doing many things at once, I would definitely recommend doing that. So I'm going to slip this in here. I'm gonna bring it closer if I can. This is, oh no. Oh no. Did it happen? What happened? We're still live. We're still live, folks. Man, that could have been bad. Dude, would you mind helping me out real quick? Could you plug that into the wall over here? I think that's the only thing that came unplugged. Oh, we're still not there, huh? What is it hung up on? Sorry, guys. Woo, we're back. Michael saves the day. Thank you. If it weren't for having the camera streaming all this would be super easy, because I could just carry the camera around with me for whatever project I'm working on. But I'm always hesitant to do a project-based live stream, because if I move to the sewing machine or move to the clicker press, I have like 900 different cords plugged in and things syncing up with the live stream software, and it's a huge pain. Also, I have to plug the camera in now to the power, or else the battery dies by the time I'm done. So it's a huge process, but we're in it now. And Whit's calling me. So, all right, I got you a little bit closer now after all that. We got the heat imprinter on, set to about 280. I'm gonna throw, because of the temperature it's at, I'm gonna throw a drier piece of leather in there. This is natural tooling. I really wish I could bring you right up here to get like a better view of this. Let me see if I can zoom in more. One sec. I'm gonna take the wide angle lens off. Hang in there. It's a little better. Okay. I know you can't see it, but I'll pull it out once it stamps. So we've got it in there. We've got the base of this template lined up pretty neatly. This is another thing that I don't love about this machine, is the base it doesn't allow for like very easy, like I really want to just like throw some clips on here or like a clamp to hold this down, but because of the shape of it, I can't get it in there. That's not anyone's fault. It's just one of those things that like maybe a manufacturer could design a way to, you know, keep templates in there and make it kind of handy to use. But anyway, I'm going to line this up. And I like to get the temperature to the point where you do a pretty firm stamp, but you don't have to sit there and hold it too long. So if I had this more at like 150 or 190, it would still work, but you'd have to hold it down and apply a lot of pressure to get it to work. So this one turned out a little bit lighter than I would probably normally do. Let me turn the focus on. There we go. So I'd like it a little bit darker, but one thing that was happening last time, I did a batch of like 50 of these the other day, and the die kept sticking to the leather. So once I pull it up, I'd have to pull it back off, and that was kind of a pain. I'm not quite sure what's causing that, because I took the die off and I took a steel brush to it and cleaned it up, made sure there wasn't anything like sticky or any residue on there, but either way, it's working. So we got that one. I definitely want to do one that's a little bit darker this time. So I'm just going to hold it down for just a half a second longer. Okay, so there we go. Now I know what a lot of you are probably thinking when you see this. It's way off center, especially this one. This is even more so than I like it. But what I was going to say is I have this really weird thing about me, and I realized it's not just me because I was watching this video about the Young Jerks. It's a design firm in New York, I think. And they were talking about this whole philosophy of design that they like, which is like sometimes they see like old 1950s advertising and I don't know, like certain like window painting and things like that. And a lot of times in the design, it's kind of off center, or it's not like, it doesn't follow all the technical terms of the design world. It doesn't like fall into the rules that you usually go by, like rule of thirds, or like it needs to, you know, have like leading lines. It's usually done by like an amateur sign painter, or even the store owner doesn't know what they're doing. And there's actually something that's really cool about those old school advertising pieces that I've seen. And Young Jerks kind of highlighted this, and I was like, this is exactly how I feel. There's a lot of things that I do in my work that's not perfect, and it's not perfectly symmetrical and center, and I think it drives a lot of people crazy, but it kind of plays into just a really cool look, I think, which is just like, these are raw, rugged, they're made by a person in a shop and not just like being popped out of some mold in a mass-produced factory. So anyway, I know a lot of you probably don't agree with that. It's totally fine, but that's where I'm at. This one was definitely a little bit more off than I normally like it, but that's okay because I'm just going to be handing these out as much as we can, just throwing them in orders, and if you use it, great. If not, then, you know, give it to someone else. But I want to try a different one now. I'm going to use this. This is the same kind of leather, only it's skirting, but it's like a medium brown skirting. So it's going to require the same temperature because it's really dry. No wax, no oil. But this time I'm going to try foil stamping. But to be totally transparent, I don't have a lot of experience with that. I've done it maybe just a handful of times in my life. And the last time I did a live stream about this heat imprinter, it was a total flop. I couldn't get the heat right. And the problem with doing this during a live stream is it actually takes a long time for the heat imprinter, or for the machine, to adjust the temps. So let's say I stamp this and I go, oop, that's too hot for the gold foil, and I got to turn it down to 150 or something. We're going to have to sit here for half an hour while it cools down. So it doesn't cater very well to a live stream piece of content, and I might put out like a different video down the road. Although I do have one on there if you want to go watch it. A little bit more detailed one that's edited and a little more straight to the point. But let's just try this anyway, just for experiment's sake. So I've got some gold foil here. Not a huge fan of this color. I was just talking to Michael about this. I think I need to find something like a better source. This is the stuff that came from Tandy. Michael was just telling me that when he was doing some shopping there, the store rep told him to not even try this stuff. He's like, it's bad quality. So I'm going to try and find a better source, and I definitely want to do some more foil stamping because it looks, oh, it's amazing. Like when you see like a really nice dark piece of leather and it's contrasted with like a antique gold kind of color, especially when there's like really good photography done with it, it's mouth-watering. So let's just try this out. I'm going to pop this into my little template. And this is just going to be a total stab in the dark as far as temperature goes. I'm guessing it's going to be similar just because it worked without the foil, but I need a knife, and I'm nowhere near one. So I saw some comments about what kind of foil to use when I was doing a previous live stream, and this is like a specific type of heat transfer foil. This isn't, you can't just use like anything. So if you're searching it, make sure it's specific to that use case. By the way, let me hit some comments before we ruin this piece of leather. Zoom out a little bit. Daniel Schaefer says, hey, from Denmark, what's the name of the stamping machine? This is the Tandy one. It's called the Tandy, or the Craft Tool Pro Heat Imprinter. The part number is 3970-00.
I believe they have a new one now.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they have a new one.
See, I haven't been keeping up on it, I guess. What's that one like? Is it look better?
Yeah.
So Michael, you might not be able to hear him because the microphone's, it's a unidirectional. It's pointing right at me. But he says that Tandy has a new one. What's the story on it? Does it look?
You know how those other ones have, you can put the roller and it like will span across the heat
Yes.
thing? They've got that set up.
So it's got like a mount for the foil, so you just pull the foil across the plate then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It looks better.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Go check it. Apparently Tandy has a better machine out there. I just partnered up with Tandy at the wrong time. Seriously though, because it was like right after our contract ended. They ended up picking up like Leather Machine Co. and got a whole line of Cobras, and they got a lot of good stuff now. I mean, Tandy, you know, everyone has their own feelings about Tandy. I personally like them. I've had a good relationship with them. I know they don't have like the highest quality products, but from what my experience is that they're the best place for people to start out, and that's who the majority of my audience is people just learning. So it's great, but they're also stepping it up with some tools. They got a whole line of Berry King tools now, mauls, stamps, all kinds of good stuff. And with the addition of the Cobra line, I mean, they're there now. I mean, it's not that's the real deal as far as like machines go in the leathercraft world. So let me hit some more of these comments. Any tips? I'm new to heat stamping. How to avoid marking, burn marks from your stamp edges? Yeah, Michael, I mean, hopefully we'll kind of hit that as we're doing this, but it's all about temperature. So if something's not right, it's because it's either too hot or not hot enough, or you need to just reduce the amount of time you're pressing it down. Also, if it's getting like a really messy stamp, maybe you accidentally stamped something that like had a layer of something on it, like some glue, adhesive, something on it, and maybe you have some stuff on the die. So I would get like a wire brush and clean up the stamp. Maybe not a wire brush. I don't know. I'm not too savvy on that because these are brass stamps and it might scratch it up. But do something to clean it up if you're having that. Been looking forward to this. Wanted to go buy one, but wasn't sure what it's all about. Yeah, maybe this will help you out, David. Jose says maybe you need a manual heat stamp that controls the heat. Yeah, you can control the heat on this one. I'm not sure. Let's see. Curtis says, thanks, Parker. This is great. Hi from Salt Spring Island. Awesome. Welcome, Curtis. Malcolm at Muck's Leatherworks says, magnets, bro. Yeah, magnets would help. That's a good idea. I need some really strong magnets I could throw right on top of this die. And as long as it avoids the heating element when it comes down, that's a good idea. Thank you for the tip. Maybe some double-sided tape. Yeah, double-sided tape would work as long as it's not like, it would have to be semi-permanent. You know, you got to be able to pull it on and off. So, good idea though as well, David. You can use registration pins, hole on top and the bottom. Yeah, I'll definitely look into this. So far, it hasn't been a huge problem for me. I just hold it where it needs to go, and I'm happy. So, if I was doing a massive batch of something, I'm definitely going to want to make sure I find a way to hold this down so that I don't have to like fiddle with the placement every time, especially on a really specific, like with this one, it has to really be centered. On our wallet pieces, I'm not as picky where the die goes. I mean, if it's like half a centimeter up, you know, it's not going to matter. Maybe if it's a little off center this way, it would matter, but I'm really not as picky with the placement on that stuff. Nice progress. Ben says, can you recommend a budget-friendly leather sewing machine? The budget-friendly answer is to find a used one, but then the question is like, well, which one? And that's where I have a hard time recommending because there's just so many out there. So look around for a used one that's a walking foot, compound feed, has a speed reducer or at least the ability to install one, and make sure it can take up to like 69, 92, 138 thread, even higher the better. Conso 206 RB models, those are really good ones to look for. They seem to be around a lot. But if I'm going to recommend one, I usually just recommend Cobra. I was just talking about this with Michael yesterday too, because they make the clone models of the machines I like. Like my Juki 1508 is great, but it doesn't come with a speed reducer. So I would recommend buying the Cobra version of it, which is the Class 20, because it has the speed reducer on it, has a really good brushless motor. It's set up for leathercraft. So I think that would be the one I'd recommend. I don't know that it's budget, but sometimes, you know, you might save a lot of money and headache by just going with one that you know is going to work. Because I bought like 3 or 4 used machines that were not right for what I wanted, and I had to go through a whole headache of trying to find needles and parts for them. And man, I wish I would have just got the right one in the first place. So I don't know, just a thought. And I don't get a commission from Cobra or anything, so that's just me trying to help you. I'm not trying to like, scare you from buying a used machine. It's just it might be easier. Sometimes you buy a used machine from Disneyland and then it falls out of a truck. Can you recommend a budget-friendly leather sewing? Oh, I just read that. A new heat stamp, for me. Oh, yeah, that could help. Thanks for the tips, Parker. Thanks, Michael. Maria D says Conso. Yeah, Conso. Just how you have it spelled there. Conso without the dash. And then RB. They have a few different ones. RB 1, 2, I think all the way up to like 6. The higher the number, the newer the machine. Really a better machine. But I've seen people use like the RB2s or whatever, the older ones. And they work really well. So, all right, let's get to this. Let's see how badly we can mess this up. All right. So you just lay the piece of foil down with the color side up. I think that's probably obvious to most people, but you never know. So I'm just going to throw it in here. And again, this requires testing, so this is probably not going to work. But this is how we find out. So I'll do one, might not work. I would probably do this with like a scrap piece of leather and a bunch of this foil and just stamp until I get a good result. But here we are trying to knock it out of the park on the first one. Let's just see. Oh, there we have it. It stuck to it. So it must have been too hot. Man. Yeah, see, and now I should have turned it down because now that foil's stuck to the die and I'm going to have issues. And then this also did not turn out very well, but that's not a problem. Again, just keep testing and get it figured out. I'm not going to do it on this live stream because it will take way too long for this to cool down. Let's do it anyway, just in case. Let's take it down to 180. We'll just see what that does. Because as soon as I touched the foil, it just like shriveled up and disintegrated. And you don't want that. That's way too hot for the foil. Michael Cruz says, would you start to sell shell Cordovan wallets? We've sold a few back in the day, but yeah, man, it's hard. It's such an expensive wallet, and most people don't want to spend that much, or they're not educated in the leathercraft world enough to know why shell Cordovan's even so special, especially from an image on a website. So I don't know. I might do like a couple small runs again and just see how it goes, but I don't think we would like add it to our regular product offering. We do have something cool coming on though. I think I mentioned this in the last one, but I have been talking to Max from Ricardo Shell Cordovan Tannery, and he's sending me a whole bunch of shells to make a bag, a bag that's made entirely of shell Cordovan, and it's out of the natural color, which I've never worked with, and it looks beautiful. So this is going to be a fun YouTube video. I'm excited for what will come out of that. Let me hurry and throw this back on. Okay. Dale Nelson says, well, I laughed. First I thought you said busted arrow. After seeing the key ring, I see it says Buscadero. That's a better name, actually. We might have to change it. I really need new batteries in my hearing aids. Busted arrow. Is a Sailrite LS1 a good machine, and can I add a speed reducer to it? Yeah, I've talked about this a lot, so I'm glad you asked. It's the Sailrite LS1 is the same machine as the Tandy Sailrite, what do they call it? The Stitchmaster. And a lot of people were criticizing the Stitchmaster because of that. They're like, well, why not just go buy an LS1 because they're a lot cheaper? Well, and that's where the differences come into play, because the Tandy Stitchmaster comes more set up for leathercraft. It has the speed reducer, it has the posi pin system on the wheel, which maybe that might come on the newer LS1s too. I'm not sure about that, but it comes with the bigger needle, smooth feed dog. It has everything you need to like set it up for leathercraft, where the LS1 is set up more for upholstery or sails or fabric stuff. And so you'll just have to put in a little bit of work. But from what I know, you can go to Sailrite's website and get all the parts you need to build it out. The LS1 doesn't have a table though. You have to remember that. It's like a portable machine, so it comes out of a case, and I prefer to have like a table to sit at to work with, unless you really want it to be portable. Moving rooms and stuff, that might actually be nice. So, yeah, Sailrite though, they make really good machines. Like that was the one thing I was impressed with the Stitchmaster. It might not be the perfect machine for like production style wallet making like we do. It doesn't have the leg lift. It's just kind of small in general. We need something to do a little bit heavier duty stuff for most of the products we do. So it wasn't the perfect machine, although we're still using it to this day. It's at Ian's house right now, and he's pumping stuff out. He's making our wallets with it, right, like as we speak. So, yeah, it is like the quality of Sailrite machines are on point. And if they started making harness stitchers or like clones of the Juki 1508 or something, I'd be all over it, because they do really good stuff. Tandy's working with Cobra now. Yeah, they are. Yep. They've got a whole line, like the bell skiver, the splitter, harness stitchers, everything you need. So.
Did you want to stamp this one or just sew it in?
Yeah, let's sew it in and we'll stamp it later, because I'm just not sure what temperature that one would take.
Yeah.
And I think we might end up just ruining it. Got to do some tests. Do you have some scrap of that stuff though? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I've got this.
Let's just see what it does.
That's doubled up a little bit.
So maybe, well, we'll let it get down to 180, and then I'll do some tests with the leather he's working on right now, because there's a good chance. Oh, this is a good one. You made like a little card holder out of this. Dang. Well, I don't want to ruin that. We'll try it out when it cools down.
I can punch another one to stamp it.
Yeah, we might need to, because I want to just like stamp a bunch and just see what it looks like before we like try and get a good looking stamp out of it. All right. How do you put that little buffalo on the bottom of your wallets? You're looking at it right here. This is the machine to do it. So there's a few different ways you can emboss and mark up your leather. You can, if you have like a clicker press like the Mighty Wonder, that's actually a really good tool beyond just cutting. You can use that for stamping too. It's a little harder to like get the pressure down, but it's kind of a feel thing, and once you get the feel down, it's awesome. So that's more of a, I don't know what you'd call it, a dry emboss, or I don't know. There's no heat involved, there's no foil involved. It's just applying pressure to the leather and creating a stamp. So you can do it that way. You can also just do it manually by hand. You can have like your stamp on a, some kind of jig to hold it and just smack it with a maul, and you can get a good stamp as well. This adds a different element. This is the heat imprinter, so it's heating up your die, and then you get kind of a burnt look to it. And you can go all across the board with how it looks. I mean, sometimes you get like a really burnt, deep black like imprint, or you can just go a little bit lighter on the heat and you get kind of a light brown, stamp, which always looks good too. Another thing is, and I'm not very familiar with other stamp like Kingsley, Quick Print. I'm not familiar with those, but I think it would be cool if you had one that had the ability to apply a little more pressure. And actually, I think if I mounted this to the workbench, I would be able to with this, although it doesn't feel super strong. I'd be afraid to put too much pressure, but I would like to maybe throw it down to a lower heat and then apply pressure, so you're getting an emboss and the heat stamp. Because usually what we do is you just touch it with the heat and you get like the brand, like the heat stamp, but you're not getting the emboss into the leather. So there's so many different variations and ways you can do it. But yeah, that's how we do it. We don't really use the buffalo anymore either. But oh, nice, thank you. We're getting close. We're at 210. So once it gets down to 180, I'll try that again. Sent a message of my wallet I made. Would you rate it? Yeah, I'll take a look. On Instagram, maybe? Sailrite has the fabricator that has the knee lift and table and servo motor. Yeah, I've heard some good things about the fabricator. I'm surprised Tandy didn't use that for their like go-to leather machine. But you know, there's reasons for everything. The thing I love about the Stitchmaster is the LS1 or whatever. It's definitely more of a hobby machine. And I think maybe Tandy was being smart about that because the majority of their audience are hobbyists. But I know that they're making a big push to get more into like the commercial side, people that are doing it like us, that are, you know, making a living at it. And so props to them for partnering with Cobra. But yeah, I got a lot of heat and blowback for doing a review on the Stitchmaster, but I still stand by what I said. I think it's a good machine for what it is. For a hobby level person who's just trying to learn how to sew and they're doing small leather goods, it's a great machine for that. Happy St. Patty's Day, Jim. You need to get around 90 to 100 degrees Celsius. That wouldn't be hot enough, at least for, I mean, it depends on what leather you're stamping. 90 could work depending on the leather. I'm guessing something for this. This is really oily and waxy. I probably will go a lot lower with it, but I'm just going to test it. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit more, like 130. Because this is Latigo from Wicked and Craig, and it's crazy oily. Have you considered making wallets in shell Cordovan by special order? Not carrying from your designs, but just the material as a special order. So just like selling the shells just as a shell? I don't think so, just because there's a lot of other people doing that. Like Rocky Mountain is a dealer for Ricardo. And you know, go to Tannery Row and get some from Horween. I mean, there's places you can buy shells. So I don't know if I'll really get in the business of like being a leather supplier. But you never know. Maybe if I have some extras laying around, I'd sell them. Which we might after doing the bag. Who knows? Okay, so I just want to get into some of the updates with what's going on. The biggest one right now is we're doing everything we can to get caught up on inventory. Some of you know that our website's been showing out of stock for way too long, and it made me very uncomfortable. But Waterbury has been chugging away. They're back. They're not at full capacity, I believe, and they also have a lot of other clients that they have to make stuff for. But they've sent us a lot of stuff, and I am so grateful for that because, I mean, it was life saving. Honestly, we've had 300 or 400 wallets come from them in different like color variations and leather variations, and so right now they're working on a batch of our number 56 briefcases in Buck Brown. So I'm excited to have that because we have a waiting list on our website for those. I mean, it's getting big. It's got to be close to around 200 people waiting for those, and we're only making 25. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm so happy to finally have stuff in stock. And on top of that, we are getting more help. We've got Michael in the shop full time now. And Michael's from California, makes beautiful stuff. And the beauty of having him here is I don't have to do much training. He knows what he's doing. We just have to play with the machines a little bit and just kind of get used to being here in the shop. But he, you know, he knows what he's doing. So we're going to be cranking stuff out even faster now. We'll have him in here 40 hours a week. Yeah, I think the days of our website being out of stock are gone. At least I hope. But yeah, go follow Patriot. What's your handle, Michael? Is it
Patriot Made Projects on Instagram?
Oh, projects, really?
Yeah.
Okay, is there like an underscore or anything?
Nope, just that.
Okay, so Patriot Made Projects on Instagram. Go follow Michael. I just moved to Utah, so I'm excited to have him here. it's kind of a wild experience, you know, changing states, starting a new job. I mean, there's just a lot of exciting things happening right now. So my big goal is to get a new shop. I mean, that's a huge thing on my priority list. I've been looking around. I want to find the right thing. I don't want to do a move just out of desperation. So we're trying to find something good. Some of the high priorities on the want list: a bathroom. That's a big one. Running water. 220-volt power is an absolute necessity, because as soon as we get in a shop, we're buying a 20-ton or 40-ton, whatever, big clicker press. We're going to American Clicker Press in Springville, and we're going to pick one up, because I've been talking to Joe down there about it for so long, and he's always like, man, when are you going to buy one? We've been talking about it. I'm like, I know. We just need a shop. I don't want to... If I put it in my garage, I have to spend about $1,000 running 220 to get out to the garage. I mean, there's just so many factors here at play. So cannot wait to be in a new space, something that's useful and practical for us. It's going to be game changing for our business, seriously. So, you know, I really appreciate Michael, because and Ian as well, putting in major sacrifices to be in here and working despite all the discomforts of basically being in a garden shed in my backyard. But I know that, you know, we just kind of push through this phase, and it's going to pay off big time for us. So, what else is on our update list? I just working with Wesson a little bit on some projects. They have a new knife they're coming out with on Kickstarter, which will be cool, so watch out for that. And I just made a little knife sheath yesterday for them that putting in the mail today, and that's going to be part of their Kickstarter. You know, one of the rewards will be have like the included knife sheath with it. So we have a new leather that I'm really excited about. I've been working really hard to get this in hand. It's some of the hardcore Stock and Barrel followers will remember, but I did a series of stories a while ago where I cut up a rifle scabbard that I found at a local store here, Smith & Edwards. I've been obsessed with the leather. I mean, I've seen this. The scabbard's been there for like 5 years, no joke. I've gone there and held it so many times. I went, this leather, what is this? It reminds me a lot of hot dipped harness from a lot of different places. I mean, a lot of places make hot dipped harness, but the problem is most of it is really dark and a little too waxy for me. And so the beauty of this stuff is that it's not... It goes through a more mild dipping process, and so the color's a little bit lighter. It's based on russet harness from Wicked and Craig, but it's just gorgeous. I'm not going to show it yet, because I'm going to do a whole series of, you know, kind of a whole like introduction to it at some point. We got to make sure that it works for our wallets and some of our bags, but we'll for sure have our belts be made up in it really soon. So I'm like over the moon excited about that, because I was telling Michael this yesterday. I had samples that I was sending to every tannery I could think of and asked, can you guys make this for us? And I got no's all across the board, which for whatever reason, I can't imagine why that's the case. Like, but I also get it. I mean, people email me asking for custom things, and I say no, and they're probably thinking the same thing. But anyway, we finally got it. Wicked and Craig came in clutch. Kylie is probably sick of me. But we made it work, and I'm so excited. So that'll be coming soon. We'll probably do like a whole website update when we get everything made up in that. Let's see what else we got going on. What am I forgetting, Michael? Yeah, I can't think of anything. Yeah, so I guess our main goals right now are just going to be plugging away on filling up our inventory. Oh, video stuff. That's what I wanted to update you on, was the YouTube stuff. So while we're getting kind of situated and adjusted here, I've been really slacking on getting consistent videos up, and I apologize for that. I know it seems smug to like apologize for that, but I say this because see so many comments that come in on YouTube, and they're like, where's the video? How come you haven't been posting? people think I literally have died if I go 2 weeks without posting. So I really want to keep that up. It's a huge priority of mine, but there's just been so much going on, trying to keep up with orders. I've been really drowning in the holster orders in our gun belt and holster rigs. And so I put a pause on those. I put them out of stock, except for like a couple variations of the 22 long rifle, because I have some that are already made up. But yeah, I mean, I've been completely drowned in those. And so I'm trying to free myself up a little bit. I've got Michael's help now. We got Ian still cooking stuff out. And Whit's doing all the belt orders and shipping. And we're also going to have Michael's help with some of the customer service stuff. So if you have a question for the business, you might get an answer from Michael here in the near future, which is going to be a huge help, because I need to free myself up to crank out more videos and, to stay consistent. So these live stream updates so far are the only consistency we're really getting, but I want to just keep pumping out like really fun projects. I want to be doing like the shell Cordovan bag, and I had a few things on my list. Let me see if I can remember. YouTube, full project videos. I'm going to be making a wallet with Ryan Savvy with Little King. Actually, that might change. We had plans on doing like a long distance project where we kind of like pass off a wallet and do different steps of it. But I just found out he might be coming to visit here and staying for a while. And when that happens, we're going to make some beautiful projects. So I'm excited for that, to have him here. So hopefully we'll get some good videos out of that as well. I had an idea of possibly buying some like really cheap bags, like just bad, ugly bags. Maybe not even like bad ones, but just some different type of bags that I could cut down and then recreate using it as a pattern, and do it out of like good leather that's, like kind of change it from something that's poorly done and kind of do it our way and make it the way I would make it if it was our bag. And I'm not really sure if I love that idea, because I don't want it to seem like we're stealing other people's designs or products, but I just love the idea of transformation, like seeing something that maybe was a good design but used really poor materials and poor construction, and then kind of apply our process to it. I think it would be fun, so I'm still trying to iron that out. I also need to go update all of our like actual products that we offer on our website and add the digital patterns so that we keep cranking out patterns on our website. That's it. We've had like a few hundred more people just in the last couple months join the Start Selling Your Leatherwork online course, which has been super fun to see, because everyone jumps into the Facebook group and we all just chat about what's working and what's not working. It's been a really fun community, and a lot of it has transferred over to our Clubhouse conversations. So love that. To everyone that's jumped on to the online course and like been part of that community, thank you so much, because it's just been super rewarding for me. It's been fun, like more of a community driver for me. I mean, I'm hoping that everyone who buys the course is actually getting really good value out of it and a much clearer idea of how to start selling your work. But I love the community side of it. It's been really fun. The people that buy the course end up kind of becoming our friends, and I love it. I think that's it for the updates. I don't want to drag this out too long, but let's see where we're at. I just want to put this out there. If anyone has like fun project ideas, always feel free to share it, because I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like the making a leather sheath for a Leatherman using only a Leatherman. That was a really fun one to make, and I'd like to just kind of keep doing stuff like that if I can. But send me a DM, comment on this video, whatever, so I see it. But let me catch some of these comments before we end this. New shop, power, toilet, coffee maker, and floor space. All critical stuff for sure. Had to settle on the number 52 rather than the 55, but still a good wallet. Can you tell us where you purchased this leather? I will, but I'm being a little bit stingy with this. You guys know that I'm always very open about sharing where I buy stuff, but this leather I've been working so hard on. I want to find a way to like either be like kind of an exclusive dealer of it, or maybe work with Wicked and Craig in some way where it's like somehow tied to Stock and Barrel, and I just haven't figured out how that is yet. So I'm sure if you tried hard enough, you could reach out to Wicked and Craig and figure out what it is and get it in hand. But I mean, I'm not even sure if you don't know what it looks like yet, so you might not even want it. But I need to iron some of that out a little bit, because I think it's going to be a fun part of our, just kind of a new part of our growth and part of our product offering. So can you tell us where you purchased? Oh, just read that. Might have said where, but I didn't catch that part. Looking forward to more YouTube videos. I'm just starting out. All I'm is leather dog leashes. Cool. Wow, looking forward to learning a lot more through you. Thank you, Donna. Josiah says, I like that idea. Thank you. Haster of Carcosa. Ryan is a great crafter. I enjoy the custom logo pattern that he lasers into some of his products. Looking forward to a crossover with him. Yeah, he does beautiful stuff. You should do more videos with leather and wax canvas. Yeah, I definitely plan on it. I'm always like fearful of doing too much of it, because I know most people are here for straight up leather craft tips and tricks and stuff like that, and all I want to do is just try new fun projects. And so I'm gonna try and fit in more wax canvas stuff for sure, but I gotta like mix in, a lot of the other stuff as well. Couldn't afford laser. I'm on a limited income and disabled, but I love working with leather, even though it's only been leashes. I would like to broaden my horizon. I have a wood burner. Cool. That sounds exciting. Donna says stingy. It's okay. All right, let me hurry and do a quick stamp with this and just see what temperature we're at with it. Oh, you know what? I just realized I don't even have the right dye in here, so we're going to have to let it cool down before I swap the dye out anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to do this later anyway, but I've got it set to 130, and that's not quite hot enough. So let me try this again, just with a little bit longer time. See if we can get close. Yep, we're going to have to turn it back up. I should have just left it where I had it. There's something really tricky about these like oily, waxy hides when you're heat stamping, because the wax just really throws it off. It starts kind of bubbling and boiling, but it'll do that before the leather even heats up. So like the stamps that I just did are barely even visible, but when I was doing it, it was like sizzling. So it's a really tough thing. From what I found, let me look it up again. I was really struggling with the natural Latigo leather I was working with, which is similar to this. And it looks like I had it set to 190 for that and was getting pretty decent results. But from what I've seen, Ian has been able to get much better results with the natural Latigo, or with any of the Latigo like oily leathers. So I'm going to ask him what his tips are for that. But again, it all comes down to a matter of heat, or the temperature, and then like pressure you're applying. So if it's not working, just try something else. And that's why this doesn't work great for a live stream, because I'm not going to sit here for hours while I figure out the right temp. But I know you can figure it out. So it's just a matter of testing out different temperatures and pressure. But let me know if you have any specific questions about this thing. I hope I covered everything. I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there. But this has been fun. Always fun hanging with you. That's mostly why I like doing these things. Yeah, I guess that's it. Michael, you have anything you want to say to the world?
No, I'm alright.
All right. Well, this has been good, guys. We'll talk to you soon. And I'm going to have a video posted before the next live stream, I promise. But either way, I'll catch you on the next live stream. All right, bye.